Why Truman called Patton at 3 a.m. Stop talking about Russia, or I'll fire you. Darkness. A ringing phone. A war won, but a peace not yet secured. This is not a battlefield story. There are no tanks charging forward, no artillery shaking the ground, yet the stakes were just as high. In the early hours of the post-war world, President Harry S. Truman faced a problem no general could solve with force alone. General George S. Patton. Patton was America's most aggressive battlefield, relentless and unapologetically outspoken. To his admirers, he was a warrior philosopher. To his critics, a liability in uniform. And in 1945, with Europe in ruins, and the Soviet Union now an uneasy ally, Patton's words became a political landmine. Patton openly questioned why the United States had fought Nazi Germany only to empower Stalin's Soviet Union. He spoke candidly, sometimes recklessly suggesting that the next conflict was inevitable and that America had chosen the wrong enemy. In a world still counting its dead, such statements threatened diplomatic catastrophe. President Truman understood something Patton did not. The war had ended, but the balance of power had only just begun. Whether literal or symbolic, the legendary 3 a.m. call represents a real moment of reckoning. Truman, a firm believer in civilian control of the military, drew a line. Generals could win wars, but they would not shape foreign policy through press statements and public defiance. Stop talking about Russia. The message was clear, or your command ends here. This was not weakness. It was restraint. Truman knew that careless rhetoric could fracture alliances, provoke the Soviets, and ignite a new war before the old one had cooled. The United States needed stability, not bravado. Patton, a man forged for war, struggled to adapt to peace. In December 1945, his life ended abruptly in a car accident, before any final confrontation with Truman could fully unfold. Yet his legacy and the tension he embodied lived on. This moment marks a turning point in modern history. It reminds us that victory on the battlefield does not guarantee wisdom and peace, and that leadership sometimes means silencing even your strongest voices for the sake of a fragile world. Because in the Cold War's opening chapter, a phone call, a warning, and a choice between ego and order may have helped prevent the next global catastrophe. History is not only shaped by battles, sometimes it turns on a sentence spoken before dawn. In the tense aftermath of a great war, a pivotal moment unfolded that revealed the fragile balance between military brilliance and civilian authority. The commander at the center of the storm was celebrated for his victories, feared by his enemies, and idolized by his troops. The civilian government, tasked with preserving stability, issued clear directives. Avoid provocative statements, respect diplomatic sensitivities, and maintain unity among fragile post-war coalitions. The commander, however, viewed these instructions as political caution, undermining military reality. From his perspective, hesitation invited danger. He believed that the enemy of tomorrow was already visible, and that failing to act decisively would cost lives later. This divergence revealed a fundamental power dynamic. Civilian leaders controlled legitimacy, alliances, and the moral authority of the state. The military commander controlled force, momentum, and the loyalty of armed men. When the commander spoke, publicly criticizing allies, questioning policy, or hinting at future wars, his words carried the weight of divisions and armies behind them. What he saw as honesty, civilian leaders saw as a threat to international order. Personality lay at the heart of the conflict. The commander thrived in chaos and clarity. Enemies were meant to be confronted, not negotiated with. Nuance frustrated him. Diplomacy, to his mind, was a delay tactic. Yet civilian leadership operated in shades of gray, where restraint could be as powerful as aggression. The commander's inability or refusal to temper his instincts in peacetime made him dangerously unpredictable. Public insubordination could fracture alliances, provoke adversaries, and undermine the principle that the military serves the state, not the other way around. In the end, the moment underscored a timeless truth. Military genius alone cannot safeguard a nation. Without civilian control, strength becomes recklessness, and without disciplined obedience, even the most brilliant commander can endanger the very peace he fought to win. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, General George S. Patton became one of the most controversial U.S. military figures, not because of his battlefield prowess, but because of his dissenting views on the Soviet Union at a time when the United States was trying to navigate an extremely fragile post-war alliance, while official policy under President Harry S. Truman was beginning to shift toward managing cooperation with the U.S. and setting the groundwork for diplomatic engagement. Patton's outspoken anti-Soviet sentiments increasingly collided with those broader strategic aims. The post-World War II era demonstrates that language became a form of power equal to armies and economies. As nations emerged from global devastation into a divided world, the words chosen by leaders, diplomats, and influential figures helped define ideological boundaries, legitimize policies, and shape public perception at home and abroad. Rhetoric could reassure allies, deter adversaries, or inflame tensions that diplomacy struggled to contain. The early Cold War revealed how carefully measured language could preserve stability in a nuclear age. While reckless or confrontational statements risked accelerating mistrust and conflict, speeches, doctrines, and public declarations did not merely reflect geopolitical realities, they actively constructed them, turning abstract ideas like freedom, security, or containment into rallying cries or perceived threats. Once spoken, these narratives often took on lives of their own, influencing generations of policymakers and publics alike. Ultimately, the legacy of post-war rhetoric underscores a central lesson of modern history. Words shape worlds. In an era where direct confrontation carried catastrophic risks, language became both shield and sword, capable of preventing war or pushing nations closer to it. Understanding this power is essential for grasping not only the origins of the Cold War, but also the enduring role of rhetoric in global politics today.